Welcome back, guys, for another episode of Business and Life Stories with Mike and James. This week we have Bylu Wertheimer with us from Call Hanashama Productions, also known as the Slingshot Guys. And they do some really cool videos, and I think you're going to want to hear what she has to say. Welcome.
Hi, it's so nice to be here, and thanks for having me on. I'm really looking forward to this talk. I think it's going to be really fun, so take it away.
Yeah, so how in the world, I found out about you because I was looking for people to do videos, and then, of course, it seems like there's 800,000 video production companies in the world. Some ridiculous number. They're all experts. They all use the same buzzwords, but how do you differentiate yourselves in the first place? Because obviously your videos are great, but a person wouldn't know that till they see it, and then they have to know you do it. So how do people find you, and how did you stand out from all the other video companies?
Sure. So there are actually like two parts of the question that you're asking. How do people find you, and then how do we stand out? And I think knowing a little bit about the history, we're known as the Slingshot Guys, but as you introduced us, our actual incorporated name is Call Hanashama, which is right. You did that in the introduction. So I'll give you a little background, and then I think that'll answer both questions. So my background is in drama. That's really where I'm coming from. I write a lot of scripts. They're performed locally, just local productions, teenagers, getting their feet wet in the world of drama. Some local high school theaters, that's where they're performed. And that's what I did for a long time. I coached the girls. I wrote the script. I worked with the teachers in the program. And then at a certain point, I wanted to take it to the next level. Tried reaching out to various videographers, which is the official term for a camera guy, right? The guy running the actual gear and filming. And for what it would make sense for me to charge for a script, they were charging that for the entire production, right? So they're going into a local pizza shop or a local whatever, $1,500. I make a nice commercial, cut it up, slice it up, and here's your video. And I would charge something like that just for the script. So it didn't make sense for them to hire me. So we kind of, at that point, my husband was also looking for a change, maybe open his own business. We've been married for 4 or 5, 6 years, because it was a long time transition from when I first started reaching out to videographers and offer them my services until we came to the point of he wants to open a business. I want to sell my script. Maybe this is a match second time around. So we joined forces. He opened the business side of it, kind of got the team together, got videographers on board, and I brought my drama background and my scripting background. Obviously took a lot of training because commercial scripting is not full-length drama scripts, right? Those are an hour and a half, 2 hours. And here you need to condense that whole story in 30 seconds, 60 seconds. But the techniques are the same. And that's how we differentiate, because it's a very different production. It's a very different way of writing the script when you're telling the story. And you really are coming from that influencing. Like when you write a drama script, there's a message, there's a reason you're writing the script, there's a theme that you're trying to communicate to your audience. When they walk out, you want them to think about something they haven't really thought about before. And those are the same skills. So that is how we differentiate. And really, I think of how we stand out and how people notice us isn't that technique. If you go onto our website, theslingshotguys.com, our header video is really that. It's a story. It's a boy in a costume. There's a setting, there's a scene, there's a story, there's a background, there's history, there's tradition. There's so much in that story. And then we make our pitch, obviously, like I'm doing that right now, because that's what scripting and storytelling is all about. And people notice, you notice, people notice just like that. Technically, we're on the web, we're on LinkedIn, we're in different places, we go to networking shows. But when you're really, the core of what you do is different and it's passionate, people stand up and take notice. That's really the answer.
So how do you maintain kind of that internal and that mental and psychological place where you're really you're finding something that's different about your customer to put in the video that's going to stick with their potential client, right? So what is the thought process there? Is it just become second nature to you?
Yeah, I think the question is the other way around. Like, my first nature is a passionate interest in people. I love people. I love hearing their stories, just like not their business stories. I just, on a random conversation with a second conversation with a new acquaintance, I'll be asking them about their childhood and how how they grew up and how they think that influenced them today. Does it make me a little bit weird? Maybe. I think I've made some of my closest friends that way. So that's my first nature. And then to translate that, it kind of becomes easy because each person is so unique and so different. And so many people, even if they're in the same field, they're practicing the same. Let's say I recently spoke to 3 ABA therapists. They're all doing ABA, working with kids on the autistic spectrum with different, behavior analysis, and they're pretty much doing the same thing. And when you get to know their background story, one is coming from finances, and he was so kind of discouraged maybe by that rat race, and he just wanted to give back to unfortunate kids. That's his story, right? Somebody else, she had maybe a child with the same disorder, and she was blown away by her kid's therapist, and she wanted to do that. So they might be practicing the same thing, and from where they're coming at it, they'll attract a different type of a client. So that's really digging for that story. Yeah, that's where you come at it from.
I love like, although I'm not a great kind of story reader, I read a lot of stories to my children when they were younger. Obviously, or the kind of the fairy tales and Hans Christian Andersen, the myths and legends, King Arthur, the Norse legends. There is so many of them, and for someone who didn't really do stories or read much as a child or youth, it was an amazing journey to see the power of story through reading these myths and legends. And I mean, the ability to tell a story is so powerful, isn't it? It's, I almost feel it's within our kind of DNA, almost the ability to become involved within a story, to communicate through stories, through all traditions of times long gone and different tribes across the world. Is it fairly unique to have storytelling from your knowledge of your competitors? We can all think of a great TV ad or a film or whatever, and it's always the story. But I've never thought about it at the level of sort of a video production company. But just you talking about it here, it seems so obvious. Is that your unique selling point, or is it that you're particularly good and much better than competitors because of your script writing background?
So I'm trying to understand where the kind of define what the question is. Is it like that?
I guess I'd never considered maybe storytelling within maybe your area of work. It's obviously in TV ads and books and films and whatnot. Is that a unique selling point, you coming from a script writing background, or is story always considered, but you're just particularly good?
Oh, okay. So it has two parts. So there's a part of video commercials that is purely in the filming, meaning a guy in a camera walks into a production facility, whatever's happening, that's what's going to go into his camera, that's what's captured, and then he cuts it up, just puts music and just tries to make a flow. But even on that low level, if you think about it, it is a story. He'll have some kind of a framework, or it'll either be 9 to 5, it'll be from where the company started until where it is today, or just a package coming into the facility, getting packaged, getting out. That's a story in 3 acts. That's Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Really, every interesting fact is a story. I mean, sometimes like when I say I ate breakfast, it's a story. Do you want to go for a walk? That's a story. It is all story. If you want to ask if we're uniquely skilled, if we keep on honing that craft, for sure. We keep on going back, learning more, learning more, learning more. Just something like having a good hook, right? Just that first scene, that first screen. Will the person continue watching or just shut it off after 2 seconds? That's a huge skill. Do all the video companies have it? I think pretty much if somebody learned in any type of official institution, they're doing story. Even if they're just a guy with a camera, if they graduated anything at all in video making, not operating a camera, if they're doing wedding videos, doing anything along those lines, they should be doing some kind of story. Definitely, we have a very unique slice of the market in that we actually write a script. Even that is not a given. To actually have voice, to actually have a model, an actor, that's next level, I guess what you'd typically call a TV commercial maybe. I don't think it's even split up that evenly these days. You can have plenty of product commercials, just shooting a product, and it plays on TV. I think the industries are kind of all blended together between the Amazon videos, the TV videos, the online videos. They're called different styles, different types, but all of the types are all over, really. That's what I've seen.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to explore this idea of story a little bit more.
Sure.
I mean, from my very kind of basic understanding, kind of, there's a start to a story where maybe there's a change in one's life, and something happens, right? And then we go off this kind of this initiates a journey. We initially go off to maybe find what we want or what we think we are looking for, but then due to the trials and tribulations, which eventually become little successes along the way, we realize that it's much deeper need than just a superficial one. I mean, is that a kind of a roughly correct understanding of a very basic outline composition of a story?
Absolutely. It's amazing to me that you call yourself somebody who doesn't know story, because that is story. That's all it is. Starting from the most traditional, you want to call them Bible stories. And I grew up I still, live a very, very deeply religious life. So those have been with me forever. So those are that stories. You take a story of Abraham, take a story of Isaac. It's all about, that journey through life and finding out how big of a person you can really be. And then every single successful story out there, whether it's a novel, whether it's a film, whether it's an ongoing TV series for years and years, that's what it is. That's all it is. It's people going after the physical needs that they think they have, like you very aptly put it, and then finding out that it's so much more than that. I'll tell you something really funny. There's a new broom on the market. It's called the True Broom. And we did a commercial for them. You can find it on Amazon. And it's about a mom who's just so fed up with a mess in her house. And she's looking for a better solution to her broom. And what she finds out along the way is that she's finding peace of mind. She's finding more quality time, right? And all of that goes into the commercial. It's not only about videos. Everything about the service you sell should follow that pattern. So like we sell the service of making videos, but really we're selling an easier sale. We're taking away so much frustration, right? When we pitch to a client, it's stop the frustrating part of sales and do it in a way that's fun, right? You show this quirky commercial to your customers, and selling becomes fun. Selling becomes something people call you for, right? Which is what we've seen with our videos. So all of business, all of life, if you want to call it religion, you want to call it values, even in politics, you learn how to write a story, you're an influencer, you're a convincer, you're a teacher. And then you can really change lives.
And it's exactly that, isn't it? It's like for us to, I'm in sales. I've done coaching in the past as well, but it's all about what I consider it's about transformation, and really for any transformation to occur, which is, as you gave a great example there, buying a better broom can definitely transform someone's life. I mean, like it doesn't have to be making $1 million or finding the love of your life. It can be just having time to have a sit down and a reflection. And if a better broom just gives you an extra 10 minutes a day, then that's transformational within some people's really busy lives. So
For sure.
I mean, like absolutely. But there's something about it, isn't it? It's just connecting with an emotional layer, and that's really where sales works at more of a subliminal level, isn't it? It's something which people can't quite kind of explain. It's the feeling that they made a connection, and the connection is always deepest through story, isn't it?
Yes, it's very much showing a person that I get where you're coming from. I get what your triggers are. I get where you're trying so desperately to get to. And for a mom, that desperation is that 5 minutes that you can get to sit down.
Absolutely.
Take it from me. And somebody, a company who gets that, gets my dollars. That's how it works. For sure. So the feelings is it's so beyond video. It's your website, it's your sales pitch, it's the product that you craft, it's the service that you give. It all comes down to I get your problem. I really get where you're coming from. Not saying it because you're trying to solve something, really because you took the time to think about the problem, and you get the problem because you've been there yourself. To that degree, we'll usually only take clients that we could really tune into. I mean, there have been more than one project where we said, like, we're just not meant to do, I can't go into that mindset. I can't grasp what your crowd is after. I'm just really not the right fit. Because I know I wouldn't be able to pull it off. You can't be commissioned to write a story that you don't care about. It just won't work. So for sure, that research of, there's a company who called us about, this is also a funny one. They're a company that services multimillionaires with financial planning, tax savings. And to be honest, I couldn't get the problem, maybe one day, but that wasn't like, but I could definitely identify with the feeling of working so hard and you get to take my taxes away. That was something I could get. That's universal. Everyone hates that. I mean, whoever pays taxes hates it. So I could tune in from that level. I could tune in on the level of wanting so badly to leave your best treasures to your descendants and not have that taken away. So I think a lot in human relation is that going past the dollar bills, right? The actual amount of the dollars, and connecting on the struggle, connecting on the wants and the wishes. Like you're saying, that deeper part of ourselves where I guess pretty much humans are all the same. However they vote and however they think about something specific like taxes, we all want to give our best to our kids. We all want to, not have anyone have control over the money we've earned. That's the same for everyone. So you have to be able to kind of, in the sale, on your website, in your videos, however you're connecting to your person, to your prospect, move beyond, the outer, the physical part of, where they are financially or whatever, and connect to the emotional, the human struggle.
It's why stories are so powerful, isn't it? I mean, I think in some ways, society might be cut off more from stories, perhaps. I mean, like there's, I mean, we've obviously got 24/7 sort of access to whatever we want, but in many ways, we're still pretty much those same beings which sat around a fire wearing saber-toothed tiger furs and eating woolly mammoth, right? And hearing the oral traditions and making a connection in that way. And I know that the times where I've been to maybe a festival and I always like to go and hear the storytellers, it's an incredibly powerful experience, isn't it? It's I'm not sure if it's like a rebirth, but it is incredibly powerful because you can just allow yourself to almost time travel back and connect to that part of ourselves, which in some ways I feel is so cut off in the modern life. And from your perspective, I guess that must be so, like, how do you feel when someone says, hey, can you help me sell this broom? And then you go through the whole process, and then out the other side there are people who connect to the story, who you're connected, that emotional connection. I mean, what is that journey like from the beginning of an inanimate kind of thing, be it financial services or broom, to the finished product which connects to people on a deeper level?
So on a technical level, the first thing I always do is research, and it's a very fancy word, but basically what it involves is that I start Googling that word. So broom, I'll just put in broom, and whatever comes up. So I got onto, I think maybe it was a Reddit thread about moms complaining about their brooms. And then there was, I got into some kind of fancy custom-made brooms out of authentic horsehair. I mean, this broom is also horsehair, but some kind of like $500 broom, and how people were praising that broom and how it literally connected them to the nature, you know, just, and I'll just connect to the human experience, their complaints, what makes them feel special about their broom. And I'll just like post a question to different people in my target audience. So in this case, it's moms. And I'll ask them, like, what's it to you? What does your broom do for you? What did it feel like when your favorite broom broke, right? All those. And then at one point we were working on a script that didn't make the cut, but it was something about kind of, oh, she's almost getting married to her broom. Like, she's so in love with this broom. Well, I mean, the company didn't go down that line. They couldn't handle that level. But just that, it's not when you're connected to the people around you, the creativity comes. People ask me, like, how are you so creative? How do you come up with your ideas? I don't come up with any ideas. All I do is listen. When you listen, you really, really listen to the people around you. They tell you, they give you the pitch. They literally tell you what to tell them. And then you just take that and tell that to them. So definitely the research is huge. So like I said, it's a lot of Googling, a lot of patience to read and to kind of grab those great quotes that just somebody in some random thread said, and that becomes the core for your selling pitch. Definitely there's a lot of trying. Like I said, I go out to real people because your own head could become a very deceptive place. Like, I'll convince you that something is a grand idea, and then it's so hard to dissociate from your own ideas and kind of listen to, like, in your head, they just all get mushed up. So you want to listen to other people and kind of bounce your ideas off them, which my team is great for. So we'll read the script together and we'll kind of say, hey, why did you put that in? Or that's where the joke with being in love with your broom fell out, because it was, yeah, I mean, to my brain, it was a funny joke, but it distracted from the message, right? So that got cut off. There's just different ways of getting enough feedback from your target audience and at the same time bouncing them off real people. I think the same thing that happens in your own head, it's very easy to have that happen online, being that the person isn't really talking to you. So like in all the snips of what people are saying, so easy to misunderstand. It's so easy to lose the message, which is what you're saying in a way, which is a very strong point, that today we have that constant, but it's very distorted. Like, in a lot of ways, you're only seeing the glamorous part. So let's say in a full-blown drama script, you'll have one scene of glitz and glamour, right? Just that fun part of seeing all the wealth dripping off the walls. But that's only one scene. It doesn't give you a realistic picture of what human life is. And then you got people sitting online just consuming that hour after hour after hour. And suddenly your own life just looks like, like you're saying, we lose touch because of the abundance of story, which is it's just a little sliver. We disconnect from the real human experience. And that, yeah, it's sad and it's bad.
I think I just realized what makes your videos so different. You just said it. When I watched them, it was a real human experience watching them.
Right.
It's so different from everybody else. So what are some techniques that you've learned to get people to talk? Like, you can usually get people to talk on a surface level, but how do you get them to go a bit deeper and start figuring out, what problem they have or what problem needs solving?
You're asking in terms of when I do like target audience questions?
Yeah, target
Right.
audience questions. Yes.
Like I said, I guess it's very innate to me that I don't spend a lot of time warming up to people. I'm just a very good connector. Like I said, like that conversation too, usually you meet a new acquaintance, a new neighbor. For the first half of the year, it's just chit chat, your grass, my lawn, your lawn. And then with time you warm up. I just do that a lot quicker. So I have a very big network of very close friends, and we're really comfortable with each other. I have a bunch of siblings, close neighbors, people I chat with online that I've grown close to. I think also if you take something like moms, they're always ready to talk about their frustration, so that's not a hard one. Financial services, yeah, you ask a mom, what's wrong in your life? Which gadget can I invent? Not a problem to get them to talk. No.
Yeah, with my mom, you don't have to ask. She just tells you.
Yeah, exactly. So those were easy. With financial services, it was definitely a lot harder. For sure that, like I said, I had to connect to the human experience. But again, the same thing, you ask a business guy, what bothers you about taxes? You'll get an earful. I think when you're willing to listen, really, really listen to people are so starved to talk, so starved to be listened to. It doesn't take much. If you really listen, people will talk. They'll talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Yeah, there's a starvation, national starvation to be listened to. You watch people discussing politics. Everyone just wants to be listened to. Nobody wants to listen. So
yeah, for sure.
You want to win an election, go out there, listen to people. They'll vote for you. But all the politicians want to do is talk. So yeah, that's why, a real listener that really takes themselves and their own self and their own view and their own opinion out, they'll find that people open up to them in a way that's eerily powerful. Like you have so much power over a person that you really, really listen to the point of cult leaders. You study what cult leaders do, and that is what the best marketers do. They listen. They give you so much space to be. It's scary what they could do to you once they have that power over you. It's even in unhealthy therapeutic situations where a person kind of melts. They have so much respect to their therapist for the listening that they do and for the way they let them be, that the person could literally lose themselves. That's why, good therapy is always supervised by a third party, right? Because that power of listening, really listening, gives you so much control over the person that you're listening to. That's why a parent is so influential over their child, right? A good teacher, so much influence over their students because I'll tell you an amazing story about what it means to be a good teacher. I'll show you what I'm trying to get at. I'm going to forget his name. I always so much like to quote the people. It's called, the book is called Motivating the Unmotivated Child. I wish I would remember who the author was. great, great educator. He tells a story about a special ed teacher who had prepared a lesson for his students. It was adolescent teen boys in a special ed environment, and he was going to teach them check writing. And he drew a beautiful, beautiful check on the board in multicolored chalk. It was amazing. And as he was giving the lesson, so the person, there was some kind of supervision happening in the classroom, which is how the story got out. He wrote the date in short, like it's written on a check, right, within the numbers. And the students in the class were like, "What's that? Like, why are you writing numbers?" Like they were so behind on their schooling, they had no clue what he was doing. And this educator said, "What do you mean? You're teenage boys. What, you don't know how to write numbers instead of the months?" And they said, "No, they're in a pre-voc program, so they're actually getting checks. They have to fill out their time cards with the dates. And there's this little box, and they were never able to figure out how to write the month in that tiny sliver of a box." And right, it was a sad situation. And this educator went. He'd spent the good part of a half hour drawing this check to motivate his students, erased the entire check, and gave them a lesson on how to abbreviate or numbers. I don't remember which one it was. So what this book was saying, motivating the unmotivated child, is the child is the one learning, and they're constantly telling you what their problem is. These students literally told the teacher, "Our problem is we do not know how to abbreviate the date or how to transfer the date into numbers." And that teacher listened, and he said, "You have a problem? I'm going to help you." Instead of pushing his lesson, his beautiful check, right, all the work he'd put into writing that check, into drawing that check, he was able to take himself out, and his plans, his goals, his pride, whatever you want to call it, erase all of that and really be there for his students in a way that mattered to them. When a salesperson is able to do that, he's leading almost a cult of brainwashed people. You look at Apple, I don't know what you guys use, but Apple consumers usually, when they use the Apple brand of electronics and technology, it's so much more. It's so much more than just a brand. It's like they're loyal, right? They're like,
Oh yeah.
they're part of a tribe.
The technology doesn't even matter to most of the Apple fanatics I know.
Right.
When I can show them that there are other alternatives that do a better job of what they're trying to do for less money, they still don't care because it's not Apple.
No, because Apple listened to them. Apple gave them a vision of who they could be, what they could be, the ads, the commercials, the early advertising in Apple was so much more than whichever technology they were using. They could literally reuse those same commercials, swap out the final message for whichever new gadget it's not about that computer screen or that keyboard. It's really not. It's about, you're with us. You're our people. You're my people. You're coming out with me. So that's what great companies do. And that's what we try to do for our clients, but it's an open secret. It takes a big person to be able to do that. Well, it's not about I, right? It's about, how can I serve you? How can I help you? That's what big leaders do.
Yes. And most of our audience are on their second or third company that they've started. And we hear that again and again. And where so many of our friends and our clients struggle is with, how do we find that target audience? So I think Slingshot Guys looks like a really good start. How long you guys been around? About 6-7 years now, is that right?
So it's hard to say because, like I said, the transformation was very gradual. In the beginning, it was just the scripting. So yeah, it's been about 6 years, let's say, since we sold our first script. And then from there, it went, did some production, went back to only scripting, then back to production, kind of trying to find our ideal balance. By now, it's full production. Sometimes I think if at a certain point I'd like to go back to only scripting, maybe, like you're saying, running a team gets very tiring. As my kids grow older, they're taking more of my time. It might be, at a certain point I'll say, I got my name out there, you know, I'm ready to sit back and just script. I don't know. Very much have learned to take each month as it comes and as it happens, kind of measure from there. But definitely the heart of what we do is in the story, in the connection. And then all the other technical details we kind of fit around our core values, which for sure are always family, for sure being there for our kids. So yeah, play life as it comes.
James looks like he has a question.
Yeah, no, I think it was just that point there of stories create tribes, really, and we all associate to who we feel is our tribe, and that's the story within the tribe, isn't it? The Apple tribe versus the IBM or the Microsoft tribe, right? I mean, there's very different stories, and it is just so powerful. It's, and I think that's such an important point. Like for me, who's a non-tech person, a computer screen's a computer screen, or a computer's a computer, like, or a camera's a camera, a phone's a phone, like whatever it is, right? But if there's a story behind that, which I can connect to, that does become almost more important if two things are fairly similar, and it's a very strong decision point, isn't it, with marketing for goods or sales. Incredibly powerful the way that stories create tribes, and then people associate with the stories, and so they associate with that grouping.
For sure. I'll tell you a funny story that, you know, we have in our family. There's a group of prisoners, and they're there for years and years, and they're bored out of their mind. The one thing they have is a joke book, and there's every page has another joke. And they've read through that so many times that they know it by heart, right? So when they converse, all they say is, "Oh, page 16," and everyone bursts out laughing. And then they say, "Oh, page 32," and everyone kind of groans because it's such a worn old joke. And then a new prisoner comes in, and everyone says, and you know, he's trying to get in with a guy. So one person says, "Joke 16," and everyone bursts out laughing. And he kind of gets the drift. So he says, the new guy is trying to be chummy with them. He says, "Joke 32," and nobody laughs. He said, "Why aren't you laughing?" I said, "Oh, you don't know how to tell a good joke. You have to know how to tell the joke." And it's so much of that tribe, it's in the inflection, it's in the shared memory, almost the collective memory of what they have. In another way to understand it, I taken my kids recently to West Point Museum. It's quite close by where I live. That's a big military academy. It's here in upstate New York. And there's a museum there, and we're showing them different rifles and different guns and different uniforms. And, you know, some people were there that had a very sketchy idea of history, and it was just artifacts. It was just nothing to them, right? It was interesting. How many guns could you look at? And my kids, they know a little bit more about history, and we're like, "Oh, this rifle is, they say that George Washington actually held it in his hands by the Battle of whatever it was," right? And like my kids were just like frozen in place, you know, by the grandeur of what they were saying, the I guess the feeling, what we're going back to is like, it's not just a handgun anymore. It's something that's so much more, so much bigger. So when you're able to put that into your service, into your product, a lot of companies do that by kind of associative charities. Like they'll kind of associate their whole business. Let's say if they're a shoe company and they, for every pair that you buy, they donate a percentage, you know, that goes to shoes for kids somewhere in Africa. And that whole shoe becomes something just so much more. Or if they employ people with special needs, every product you buy from them is so much more. Yeah, people go for experiences. You don't go, you know, if the only thing you sell is a banana, I can buy that at 20 different places. If you're the guy who greets me and asks me about my grandma and how she's doing in the hospital, I won't buy that banana anywhere else. I'll come back, double the price, triple the price. I'll come to you because you're listening to me. You're giving me something that's so much more right than the yellow fruit. So it has to be baked into the company from the get-go. It's not something that a new salesperson could just invent. One of 500 salespeople, he'll have to find his own story. If you're a salesperson joining a team and that company is just a dead company, you'll have to find your own story. Why did you join this company? Why do you care about what you do? And people pick up on that. Tell you another interesting story I had recently. I was complaining about customer service in a specific place. And as usual, that the place just told me, you're the only one who complains. We never get complaints. Everyone is so happy. And I said, you know something, I'll be honest, I know myself. I'm an articulate person. I'm a person who gets down to the root of what's bothering me. You know, definitely, maybe I'll believe you if you tell me that I can articulate the problem in a way that other people can. That I believe you. But I'm positive that everyone has the same complaints. Maybe they can't verbalize it. Maybe they can't say it. Maybe they don't have the time in their life to get down to the root of what's bothering them, but they'll leave your company sooner or later. The problems are the same for everyone, right? So that's really what a company should know. That, right? We might not have that client that could pinpoint your weakest spots and tell you, this is where you're off, right? Very few clients are marketing consultants, which is what I bring to the table. But all the clients walk away either feeling kind of itchy about what just happened, right? Used and abused. They might not know it, but they'll walk away feeling like that. And if you have a great service and you're really there for your customers, they'll walk away feeling great. You can't argue with that feeling. That's there for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever business you run, you always want your customers to walk away feeling good, and they're going to tell other people they feel good. But
right.
You know, it's the old universal constant that if one person walks out feeling bad, there were many, many more that never said anything.
Exactly.
So what is a good way for people to get a hold of you, to start exploring what kind of results you get for your clients? How would someone start that process?
Sure. So the best thing is to go to www.theslingshotguys.com, or they can follow us on LinkedIn, the Slingshot Guys on LinkedIn, Bylu Wertheimer, Bylu Wertheimer on LinkedIn. We share a lot of content on LinkedIn, and I would challenge you, if you want to tell your own stories, either if you are in the video line or for your own company. If you sit down, watch some of our videos, especially our main video on our website, the Slingshot Guys video, and try to chart how did we hook our audience in the first few seconds? What interesting thing did we do? Which problem are we talking to? How did we listen to our clients? How are we showing them, I really get your problem? My model in that video is you. It's really the target customer. And she just feels like your best friend, or he feels like you're, you know, that grandfather that just knows your problem so well, and he knows the solution. He's lived your problem. He's found the solution. And analyze that, chart it for yourself. Write down problem, write down solution, and study the videos really well. You'll find what we've been talking about, and you'll be able to kind of incorporate that in the stories, whether you're the salesperson, whether you're building a website, whether you're doing your posts on LinkedIn about, you know, your services. That's always, you want to show the people, I get you, not by saying it, by studying their problem, by really listening to them.
Thank you very much for being here. Folks, we had Bylu on because what Slingshot Guys does is absolutely amazing. And, you know, I rarely say that about a company. I never say it unless I can prove it to myself first. And those links you mentioned are going to be down below the video. And we recommend that you do what you said. Go watch the intro video. Start making some notes to yourself. And if you think that this company can help you, I'm sure they can. So take the step and contact them.
Sure. And I'm always willing to answer a question or two. Message me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to help. Yeah, it's been a great conversation. I have to say that I enjoyed being here. I enjoyed sharing. I enjoyed listening. I really hope everyone has lots and lots and lots of luck sun shining on you all the time.